Hi everyone, I'm Romita. I'm the founder and CEO of Foxtale, a D2C skincare brand in India.
So broadly, my approach is chronological. I'd like to start by understanding the pre-Foxtail journey, then understanding your 0 to 1 at Foxtail, the 1 to 10 journey. So that's broadly the approach I'll follow. So let's begin. You are an investor turned entrepreneur. Just take me through that investor part of your journey once, just to help understand how that shaped your decision to be an entrepreneur.
I think I'll just take a couple minutes extra because I think I was an investor only for 2 years, and the decision to become an entrepreneur has been something that I have moved towards over a period of 10, 12 years. I'm from Ranchi. It's a small city in India, and grew up there. Went to UCLA for my undergrad. So that was the first time when my horizons expanded, or I saw very different worlds, and I got to experience 18 years of one side of the world, and grow up fundamentally, in the formative years, 18 to 24 in the US. When I went there, I think ये सब तो पता नहीं था कि कितना I will learn. I didn't know how much I'll learn, but what I definitely knew, immediately realized what my parents had done for me. I come from a decently well-off family, but not so much where they could afford what they had at that time given me. And I realized that the moment I landed there by myself. And to me, the first thing was I'm going to give back the ROAS in addition to the homesickness that was there. And so I knew that I needed a job that can pay you that much in that 1 year, and that became the goal of my life. So I became the super into first year kid, going into all these career fairs, meeting all of these people, and that's the first time I met a banker. He was a senior investment banker from Morgan Stanley, and I heard all about banking from him and what life is like. So not only did the ROAS sit there, it made sense because there was something about this person that was very aspirational to the 18-year-old me. And I said, I'm going to pursue my career in investment banking at the age of 18. And I started doing a lot of internships. Yeah.
Sorry, I just want to clarify for our listeners. You are coming from the D2C mindset and using the word ROAS again and again, which some people may not understand. But you're essentially saying the return on what your parents invested that you wanted to.
Whatever they put in to educate me for 4 years, I was like, I'm going to earn it back in 1 year. That's primarily what I wanted to do. And after that, I did a few banking internships, got into Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, tech banking in the third year as a summer intern, and then got a full time there and started my career there. So that's where my journey to consumer tech started. While we were doing semiconductors and softwares, I did spend a lot of time with consumer tech, which included your FANGs of the world, which is Facebook, Apple, Netflix of the world, but it also had a lot of Series D and E companies of the time, like Airbnb, Pinterest. Uber was a little more advanced. We were doing DRHP work for them. Chef, Run the Runway, Fashion Nova, etc. So these were all Series D, E companies that we would spend a lot of time, because those are the deals that we wanted to foster and build as part of Bandcamp. And to me, I found love here because this was a sector that I used to understand as a user. So when it came to the decks, it was not as simple as taking insights from here and there and putting. There was something that I was mindfully able to apply myself to. And of course, these were brands that I was using on my day-to-day life. So there was a lot of conversation I could do outside work as well when it came to working with these brands. So I think for me, consumer tech became a very holistic experience as a 22-year-old professional. And I knew I wanted to build this further. In between all of this, 2018, I came to India. I came within Bank of America, and I was doing tech banking here as well. My first deal here was Rebel. My second deal here was Zoomcard. So I continued the consumer tech journey in India. But having said that, there were a lot more companies that I got a chance to speak to within a period of 6 months. And what I really learned, Akshay, ki India consumer tech and US consumer tech are not the same, right? India, Oyo and Airbnb are not the same models. Uber India, Uber US are not the same models at all. And to me, that realization didn't come from a cynical point of view. It came from a very appreciative point of view, because we talk about omni-channel, online, offline, but regional disparities is so much. So is so wide in India. When you look at why a certain business model works in a certain state versus another, the reasons are completely different. So even if you take a very high level word like TAM that bankers love using, right, total addressable market, वो इंडिया में बहुत easy नहीं है figure out करना, and it's very application based. It's not a simple maths and it's not a simple Excel. You have to really apply and try and understand the user. So to me, I knew that I wanted to make that move. I was, of course, in 6 months in India. We are not debating that we are in the golden decade of India in terms of the economy, and I could see it, I could feel it, that that there is a lot for me to do in India from a career perspective. But I had to learn. I was this Silicon Valley bred. Fancy unit economics, CM2, and all of those languages, all of them are relevant in India. Uska bas, lingos are very, very different in terms of this, right? So I had to unlearn and learn, and I said I'm going to move closer to a organization where I can learn and unlearn all of these things. And that's when A91 partners came through. They were just getting formed. It was the new fund. Some of ex-Sequoia partners were moving out to start A91. I knew one of them briefly from before, and when I congratulated him, I still remember I sent him a message saying, "Congratulations." He sent me a message, "Do you want to interview with us? Do you want? We are looking for analysts. Do you want to join in?" And that's how I started interviewing with them. All of them came from
A91 is venture capital or private equity?
So they are positioned as a growth partners. Growth equity is someone that comes after VCs, but prior to private equities. But at least when I had joined them, they used to do very early stage companies. So Series A and B. Now fundamentally they're doing Series B and C. But at that time, the check sizes were smaller. I joined their first fund. Like when I had joined them, I still remember उनका office नहीं बना था. So whenever I see my office being built, it is not the first 0 to 1 journey in a way I had taken, right? Like I had not taken that journey. I was observing that journey a lot more. But there was a 0 to 1 there as well. But A91
And
partners happened that way. Yeah. Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about A91 founders and their background and what they started. I believe that's a pretty fascinating journey in itself.
A91, the primary partners, there are 5 partners actually. Three of them come from, 3 of them were all partners at Sequoia. So there's Abhay Pandey, there's Gautam Mago, there's BT Bharadwaj. And they have 2 more partners, Prasun and Kaushik, who joined them, eventually in this journey. And all of their backgrounds, actually all 5 of them are ex-Sequoia, but they left Sequoia at different roles and different positions. I'll talk about Abhay, Gautam, and VT, come from, I think, very rich experience in investing in India. Gautam has done a lot of financial services and tech. Abhay and VT have been primarily focused on consumer, healthcare, consumer tech
what
as a
did
space.
they want to build in A91? I mean, they left Sequoia. They would have had some sort of a thesis of what Sequoia is not doing.
I think they wanted to have a very linear focused approach. So they were very clear that each fund will have 10 to 12 investments. So they wanted a lot more per portfolio exposure. And at the same time, for them, the white space in India was that a lot of people were writing 5 to 10 mil checks. A lot of people were writing 50 mil checks. But no one was writing this 10 to 50 mil checks, right? So Series B, it's fine. But Series C, Series D, unless you're doing these large transactions, it's not working out. So I'll give you an example, right? Like Matrix came in when I was early on, and Matrix and KR venture capital funds. But if you talk about private equities now, any big name, they will not come until I'm raising 70, 80 mil, but I will need money in between that, in between this 10 to 50 mil journey. So they really said that that's the wide gap in India where unit economics is proven. So we are not a VC, we are not taking bet on unit economics. The business has shown ability to not only unit economics, scale and profitability hai. Like the company is 100 crore, around 100 crore in its P&L, and to some extent profitable. But now it's about hyper scaling it up, keeping the profitability in mind. So that's why it's called growth investing. You're only investing in growth. You're not taking a bet. So the risk is lesser than we see to that extent. So you underwrite lower returns than we see. Yeah.
So all these like Prime, Bloom, all of these are like the sub 10 million, like they write checks sub 10 million. Most of the funds that we would have heard of are there. And then there are funds which do 50 million plus, like a SoftBank or so on. So that in between spaces where they are
is
coming.
what they want to capture. Yeah, is what they want to capture. And actually, outside India, there are a lot of growth equity partners. In India, surprisingly, there have been less, but now a lot of people have come up. Like when I think 4-5 years back, it was just a few of them on the finger, but now there are so many growth equity partners in India, and all of them have done fairly well for themselves.
Who are the other names in this space, growth equity space?
So just we did a round with Panthera Growth Partners Series B. So they are one of them who come in this space. Edelweiss is playing this space quite a bit. This 10 to 30 mil. SWC, Shunway Capital, is doing quite a bit. While CPG Growth will write bigger checks, they can still write, I guess, from what I know, 30-40 mil taken a little early bet. So there are a lot, so there are a lot of growth equity partners in India. Like the biggest difference, if I have to tell the audience, is that usually a VC, when they invest in you, if they put in 10 mil, they expect that to become 7-8x at least. A growth partner underwrites a 4x because they are like, they'll put 30-40 mil, 4x is also 120 mil, right? And a private equity will underwrite 2-3x. Like they're okay with that kind of a base case assumption. So that's how all of their, because the bigger the check sizes, you are able to underwrite a little lesser return because risk reward ratio. The risk is lower, the reward is lower.
I want to kind of understand the job of an analyst in this kind of a fund. Typically, if you are managing investments in, let's say, public market, then you will do like a discounted cash flow where you have, like you are able to project incomes. But when you are doing private equity and VC funding, the projection of incomes, does that really come into play, or how do you decide what is the valuation that you want to invest at? How is the valuation decided at different stages of investing? Like, how is it decided in a Series A or a seed level versus how is it decided at B and C level? Just help me understand that a little bit, like the way an investor values a company.
So I think by Series B, the company's P&L is a lot more matured. So it's easier to tell you about how, but I'll actually go chronologically. In seed stage and pre-Series A, Series A stage, the company really has not had so much history, right? And the company might have existed for 7-8 years, but if you're not doing substantial revenue, it's very, I can tell you will grow X, I can tell you will grow Y. So everything becomes assumption based, and unit economics have not played out. So you are not even able to play कि अगर 100 रुपया बेचूंगा तो मैं कितना पैसा कमा रहा हूँ, because there's no stability in the unit economics, right? So at that time, your view on the market becomes extremely critical, and what you do in terms of peer analysis becomes very, very critical. When I say market analysis, it is TAM analysis, the total addressable market hai kitna, and it's not simply getting to a number. It's understanding things like, a bottoms-up analysis, right? Who are the players in this? So if this is a 100 crore market, or let's say 100,000 crore market means itna big raha hai. Addressable market means not our view on how big the market is. India में आज खरीद कितना revenue generate हो रहा है इस category में. So basically you break that 100,000 to all the players who are contributing to it. And then be able to take a view. Like, for example, in skincare, if I had to take a view, I know that Himalaya is doing this, Fair and Lovely is doing this, and the market is 20-30,000 crores. But I'm not going to displace Himalaya or Neem, right? Himalaya or Fair and Lovely. I'm going to displace the long tail first. Then you go deeper dive into what are those smaller brands, what has their scale been, how fast have they been growing. Of course, you will have some winners, of course, you will have some losers. So that gives you the best case, the worst case. And then taking a view that how much of this market do you need to capture to get the returns that you are looking for. So if today you are investing in a company at a 5x, right? But the company is 1 crore, you're taking, let's say, 5 crores. For you to make 10x on this, at what scale will the company be able to give you 10x? Because the multiples in different categories contract or expand. Consumer is beautiful. As you grow, multiples expand. There are some categories where you give higher multiples in the beginning, but as you go up, the multiple arbitrage goes away. So growth has to take over the arbitrage in valuation, the upside in valuation difference. So all of those things. So depending on the category, then you take a view on whom do you need to displace? What does that mean? How much market share do you need to take? And at what market share and at what this do you think that you will make that 10x that you are looking for? And that's where a VC's insight, right? A lot of these partners you will meet. I'll tell you about one, right? Avnish, right, from Matrix. I have seen him just look at numbers and have a very strong sense of whether it will work or not. And that sense is not gut. That's pure intelligence that he's built through the experiences that he's had over the years. And it is that intelligence is so ingrained in great VC partners that it is almost gut after a point of time, right? So they see something and they can tell you it will work or not. But there's a lot going on in the head. They connect the right dots and they're so everything that I told you, they will be able to connect in their dots and do it in a fraction of a second. And basis that then you take a bet that you know that ye ho jayega, itna market share milna mushkil nahi hai. And the biggest bet you take then is on the team and the founder. That okay, this is a market share. Will they be able to execute? Does the product have what it takes to be able to get there? What are the risks that ends up coming in? So then you take a upside versus downside view on this, and then you invest in it. So very honestly, Series A tak taking a PNL view is relatively more. You actually build the right PNL. A VC will give you the ideal PNL to the founder, saying that by now we're investing. This is what you have to build because this is how we will get to the numbers that we all want to get to the founder. It's almost like that. But founders are delusional and in the right way delusional. So they will take much higher numbers than that. And a lot of them deliver on those higher numbers. But that's how a Series A and Seed works, right? So Series B plus, what ends up happening is that Series B plus ends up happening after 100 crore. In fact, even a little larger, right? I'm giving 100 crore as a lower benchmark. Usually it starts at 150, 200 crore. But by the time the company has had at least 4-5 years of history, and 100 crores is a lot of money to, have. So you will have a decent set of customers. Ideally by 100 crore, you should be in a path to profitability. If not profitable, you have a view on for every additional crore, how much more cash burn do you have to do, not do. What is the unit economics like, right? At 100 crore, unit economics will stabilize. So you exactly know for every dollar you spend, what do you get? And what is the marketing efficiency, operating efficiency that the business has seen from a 10 crore to a 100 crore journey? So a lot of numbers in the business are very, very well developed by the time you hit your Series B. So at that time, it is about taking those numbers, but you still take a view on the TAM. It is not as you might not need to be the best in the industry to take the insight on the TAM because you can still be a little more, vanilla about it than what you need to be in VCs. VCs are extremely smart about understanding the market sizing. Here you can be a little more vanilla about it, but there's so much history in the company by that time and decent amount of history that it makes it easy to project it out. So then you take a view ki itna market hai, in this amount of time they've taken so much market share, which has resulted in this. So they are on a growth path. So you have the current growth rates. You will even see, I have seen analysts will do, there are lazy jobs, there are great jobs. So if lazy job is simply grow at the same rate next year and then, keep decelerating it. Models can be made in many ways. Great jobs are understanding the market and taking a view, this is the election year. It might grow faster. This will be X number of years, etc. So there are all of those things that you can build in, and that leads to, and then you also have a view on profitability and cash burn because the company has had that history. And you take that view and you expand that. Like today, if I'm spending $1 to get $100 in revenue, for example, you are able to see कि 6 महीने पहले इस कंपनी को $2 लग रहे थे. So company is improving market efficiency by this rate. So will it continue to do it or not? And basis that you make assumptions and take a call. So Series B plus is a lot more, what do I say, technical and a lot more mathematical in its approach of creating a model. And the other side to it is that you still take a founder bet because see all the numbers eventually are idealism, right? It's like ऐसा होना चाहिए. See, model is always about ऐसा होना चाहिए या ऐसा हो सकता है. So even in Series B, you need the founder to deliver. You need the team to deliver. So they might have done a great job for the last 4-5 years, 2 years, but can they continue to deliver? And a lot of times founders who are 0 to 1, 1 to 10 are not 10 plus or vice versa, right? I've seen great founders at 10, but they might not have been the best founders for 0 to 1, but their co-founder might have been the best 0 to 1. But so it's a journey, and you still continue to have to take a bet on the founder and the team. And that is how Series B is done. Public markets is there, I think, even more mathematical and this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't want to say scientific because I actually think people don't realize VCs are quite scientific. It's just that because great VC partners come with experience. VC, you can't learn. It's not academic. You can't take a book and you can learn it. It's experience, because you need to know cycles. You need to know what works, what doesn't work, and you need to have a sense of business. You need to have a very strong business sense. So I think for me, that level of intelligence comes with years of experience, and hence it's not scientific. It's very scientific, but it's a very different form of intelligence. It's a different form of intelligence than mathematical intelligence.
What do VCs do to find those blockbuster deals? Like every VC who invested in Mamaearth would have written on their LinkedIn profile that they're an investor in Mamaearth.
Yeah.
And big blockbuster, which every VC who's invested is proud of. And I'm guessing every VC is hunting for the next Mamaearth. So what are the things they do to find these great deals?
First of all, what a story, Mamaearth. I think so much respect and, luck for what they have built. I don't personally know them, but outstanding. I think to anyone starting in any category, they're an inspiration. And what they've built, the rigor with what they have built. And of course, for people in the category, it's great to know that they've created something so special and it's possible. But on this, right, I think there's a word that VCs will use and a lot of VC analysts use called sourcing. Basically, going and meeting everyone possible on planet Earth, whether it is other VCs, whether it is all the founders, and evaluating, and that's how. So for the word sourcing is like very largely used. But I actually believe, and I have seen it recurringly. This is my thesis, that a Mamaearth kind of deal doesn't come out of sourcing. It comes out of relationships and a keen eye to know what relationships to build and what not relationships to build. And I was actually having this discussion with someone a few days back that has come out of cold sourcing, and that's been like the 10x, 20x, the Mamaearth for any fund. It's because, the focus that you need. I think to me, what ends up happening that when you do this sourcing as a spray and play that we call, not investing.
What is cold sourcing? Cold sourcing means you send out cold emails to companies which are launching.
Cold sourcing means I will talk to everyone. I will talk to whoever, I will talk to everyone on planet Earth. Kuch niklega and I will do it. So right now, like I remember when we were analysts, we were said that I was told, right, like in different funds, like you take a target of, I will do so many calls a day. I will do. See, as an analyst, it's great because honestly, you learn a lot. Because the more you talk to people, the more you imbibe. Yeah, right. So I think the intent is also to make them learn. But really, the deals in most VCs don't happen with very few happen with the analysts bringing in the deal. The partners bring in the deal, the partners do the deal. Why does that happen? Because it's a relationship.
What relationship are you talking about here? Like, I mean, with the Mamaearth founders, you're saying that some VCs had relationships with those founders previously because of which it came to them? Or what is it?
No. By relationships, I don't mean that we know each other or we necessarily hang out with each other or there is a family. None of those things. But I'll tell you, like for me also what had happened, like you talk to someone, like let's say even if you're talking to an angel, you know that angel well. That angel knows someone. So there's something called referral, right? When you meet each other through referral, there's a network of trust you create, right? And very honestly, this network that we create, network is not people you just meet once or twice. Network is people that you may talk to twice or thrice a year, but you probably will, see some commonality. So finding a network where there's a thread of commonality helps you always stay in the DNA that you want to invest in. So the relationship doesn't mean that Akshay and I know each other. The relationship means that somehow we know people, which means there's some value systems that we end up
Who
sharing.
introduce us, right?
Who introduce us, some value system. So when you and I will first off, we'll hit it off a lot of times. So I'm very sure that when I'm sure a lot of investors would have met Mama for the first time when they first invested. But they would have heard via, okay, Varun and Ghazal are meeting, a great thing. You should meet them. And when they meet them, I can also most likely tell certainly that it would not take them months to get convinced, right? Because the DNA matches somewhere. And what I mean by that, right, Akshay, is not saying that there's one style of investing that works. I think you have to be honest to your style of investing. So I think investors who are very honest to this, because again, it's intelligence you build in a category. You can't build intelligence in automation also, AI also, consumer also, not when you're starting off, not when you are like, building. I'm sure that once you reach a certain stage, you build one subject matter expertise, then the other, then the other. But I also think very few people are gifted like that, right? Like your brain has to be trained in a certain way and that can connect dots without you having to, consciously think about it. And for it to get trained, you have to have more and more and more conversations and more people in that thing, in that window, in that definition that you end up establishing for yourself. And that's when what ends up happening is that then you find people who fall into that bucket. For example, Fireside, right? It's one investor that I think understands BPC outstandingly well. I don't think Mama Earth is an accidental success for them. I'm saying from an outside perspective, I neither know Mama Earth well nor Fireside well, but I don't think it's an accidental success. I think they would have always with a strong conviction, know that it will be a success because their DNA in BPC is outstandingly strong. The view, the depth, the focus, and the view is not a 1 year view. They've been studying this market for the last 10, 15, 20 years primarily, probably, and being able to reiterate again and again what is working, what is not working, etc. They've made those bets that have won. They've made those bets that have not been the stellar success in Mama, but they have the learnings. You know, yeah. So it's just think of it. If you're a mountaineer, all of us are mountaineers. So, but doesn't mean that all of us can climb Mount Everest, right? And the
Yeah,
mountaineers
yeah.
also take pride in climbing Kanchenjunga and some other mountain. Because you make that your focus area. You need to understand that terrain. You need to understand that weather. You need to understand the hardships that you go. And you will fail, but you keep doing it till you get that. So I think it's that focus of understanding the terrain of your category. And hence then you build a network there. And hence there is direct, indirect relationships that happen. So I think to do a Mama Earth, and we have some outstanding VCs in India, but to do a Mama Earth and see that kind of success, I think you need to have lived that, breathed that category, and have it very well intense. So a Mama to no VC would have been an accidental success. It would have been a well thought to Sequoia has been in BPC forever, Vinny Cosmetics, etc. They've not really been, they're not new. Mama was not their first investment in BPC, and they've done Faces Canada. They've done
BPC is beauty and personal care.
Beauty and personal care. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, what was your thesis? You were at A91 when you decided to start Foxtale. What was the thesis you started with? That, since you are an investor first, so you would have done that, TAM and figuring out what is the white space and, so help me understand that. Yeah.
I was not. And I think till today, I'm trying to entrepreneur especially now means a lot of things to a lot of people. To me, it simply means to build, right? And it started like that. And I think I'll discover my own meaning for it with time. But I think to me, it's going to stay the constant. I've been doing it for now 3-4 years. But when I was doing VC, right? So banking career, understood I love the consumer tech space. VC was part of an early journey. So spent a lot of time with portfolio companies, got a front seat row to a lot of conversations. And as much as I enjoyed it and learned from it, I realized that I want to get a little closer, right? And little closer didn't necessarily mean jaake khud ka start kar lo, right? So what that little closer meant, I took 6 months to realize it. And that's when I started calling all my ex-employees and I'm like, what should I do next? MBA, of course, is an option, but I really feel like, I really feel I want to build something and co-build and be part of some story. And they were like, oh, you should start. We always thought you were going to start, right? And at people who were my employers in the US, they're like, oh, you haven't started yet. We always thought that, you were going to start something around. So to me, very honestly, this happened and a lot of these things were happening. Similarly, Abhay had taken us out for drinks. We used to go out for drinks at Four Seasons here, and used to ask these questions at times. And I remember this one time he'd asked us this question that, if not what you are today, what would your ideally be, or what will you be in 10 years, right? Or what is that ideal image you have of yourself? And I remember it going in circles till it came to me, and I was sitting on this side, and I said I want to be the CEO of PNG, and I can't tell the impact. Maybe I was too drunk, so I was thinking a lot more, vulnerably than I tend to give myself a chance to. So I really and I was reading a lot of PNG at the time, and of course I had realized that I want to go to the upside. But to me, this idea of PNG, right, and the idea of getting to not only build it, but be a part, create an impact, right, was something that I felt very strongly. So all of these together took over a 6 months, and very honestly, Akshay, it wasn't an easy overnight decision, because it moved between okay, now I want to build, let's figure out a company that I want to go and build. So I spoke to a few founders. I knew a lot of them. I was friends with them. So, all of these was happening. And then, but wo under se conviction nahi aa raha tha, right? That this is it. And I had to define what building means. Building is as simple as I can build a house, right? Like building is anything. Building is creating. You can create anything. But what does my building mean? And I remember this day so clearly. And because I remember the smell of the day, there are days in life that you remember everything of that day. And I woke up and I said, I want to build 1,000 crore company with 20% EBITDA. And that became my building, right? That became my definition of building. I said that to me, building means building a consumer brand, 1,000 crore ka hoga, 20% EBITDA hoga. And the second thing was that whether it takes me 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years to build this, I'm going to build it. I'm not going to stop. And given that I'm saying I can go through these, multiple rounds of reiterations, and I come from a generation that believes in mental health, I always say it. So I will never let it go home. I will always, keep it at work, because this is something I was doing for myself. But I will do it. It wasn't a stint for me. It wasn't something I was going for the experience. I wanted to build 1,000 crore 20% EBITDA. मतलब experience भी नहीं था. मतलब life thing to me would be कि I will learn operations. It will be so much fun. मेरे को बस बनाना था 1,000 crore consumer brand 20% EBITDA. So that is what I wanted to build, and that's where the journey started. Now to build 1,000 crore 20% EBITDA, I think that made my life fairly easy in hindsight, because the problem statement was clear. I wasn't searching for a problem statement. Everything I did after that was to solve that. So I needed a category that has high revenue pool and profit pool. Like you said, given I'm from a VC, I know what categories fit the high revenue profit pool. And I knew BPC skincare fits perfectly into that. Second, as a founder, you can really have two arbitrages. One is you come from operational experience there. Does a Unilever guy coming and starting something in this category have an arbitrage? Of course he has, right? I don't have that arbitrage. But the second arbitrage that founders have is being power users of the category. When you really are a power user of a certain category and understand, then you build something that is extremely, you ace the product. When you ace the product for the loyalist in the category, then automatically, scaling that products in terms of word of mouth, everything becomes much easier. So I knew I'm a power user of skincare as a category. And third was some very basic PMF. Up in hindsight, all PMF was dhoka, because now I realize how much work goes into building. But whatever was, it's like life, right? Whatever you are seeing, usi mein dot hai, usi mein ye. And when you zoom out, things change in life. But to me at that time, I had spoken to 108 skincare brands all across India. And I had understood that, for me, there was a very clear and I was meeting all of these brands at different scales, and all of them were growing very, very fast. So that means TAM hai, market is growing. If everyone's growing, market's growing, right? but none of them were profitable. And if I double down, it almost looked like that if today coffee becomes popular, everyone's launching coffee. If tomorrow neem becomes popular, everyone's launching neem. So one SKU is growing, then it stops growing, another SKU takes over the growth completely, and then there's a third SKU that takes over the growth completely. So it was it was growth that was coming in the cost of marketing inefficiency, because today you're putting all your marketing money to say I am X, and tomorrow you're saying I'm Y. So there's no efficiency and there is no long term, ROAS that you are able to, squeeze out of the money that you are spending. And versus at that time, I had Unilever's number, I had Himalaya neem face washes number. By Unilever, I mean Fair and Lovely. And they were still growing double digit, but they were also profitable. And the best thing was they were one hero product. Fair and Lovely is built around one SKU, right? Himalaya has a lot, but Himalaya neem face wash is their hero product, is the product that gets the maximum. And they were market winners in the category. So to me, what was very clear that to address both TAM and profitability, you need to create limited SKUs and you need to create high LTV around each SKU. What do I mean by LTV? Lifetime values. If I'm acquiring you for one product, I want you to stick to the product for at least the next few years of your life, right? And hence, I can only launch limited SKU and get revenue rather than today sell you one, tomorrow sell you something else, day after day, because then that's commoditized. I have to build a brand, and brand for brand, stickiness is critical. So each product you have to be stick. You might not use in all my 15 products. I'm okay with you using one product, but you stick to it now for the next few years. So that's what we wanted. We said that is the problem statement. So, but again, one thing that VC doesn't do, and I strongly believe that at least for me, it was a limitator. You earn a certain amount of money, you live in a certain, you live in a bubble. You basically, your lifestyle is very different. You are situated in south of Bombay. And while we all like to believe that we are going out and meeting so many founders and we're really, this living a life is very different from, inspirational conversations we end up having. And I had learned that that VC is a bubble, and that time only someone had told me, what is the average salary of top 1% of India on a monthly, like that's India's 1% earns 25,000 rupees a month. So imagine 99% earns less than 20.
Wow.
And imagine how we are, right? We are like another spectrum altogether when we were at VC.
You're 1% of 1%.
Yeah. So it's a whole different world. So I knew that I can have all these numbers and I have a thesis, but I don't know till I go and speak to the user. Unfortunately, this is 2020, so COVID was there. So I waited, but COVID ka first wave khatam hone laga tha. So I said, I'm going to go and interview women. And I interviewed 1,000 women. I still remember the number, 937 women across 10 cities in India. That's a whole different I used to go and talk in front of airports, and I learned that no, you should never go to airport for research because people are either in a hurry to enter or in a hurry to exit and go home. There's no leisure time. So then that's when I started going to malls and I started going to other places. In tier 2 cities, there are no malls. So I had to set in 2 of the cities, I set base camps. I still remember tent लगा के,
Yeah.
पूरा क्योंकि पैसा नहीं खर्च करना था, तो वो शादी के टाइम बचपन में जो होते थे फूल वाले टेंट वो लगा के, कूलर लगा के, पानी लगा के, but I would get samosas and I would say let's just come and spend time in a certain neighborhood, right? But honestly, was a different world, different experience altogether that time, and learned a lot.
You quit and started this research?
So this research I was doing while I was still at A91, because A91 was a Monday to Friday thing. So Saturday, Sunday, I was doing this. So I was traveling, and some days I would either take a off or I will go Friday evening. So I'm working as VC का अच्छा बात क्या होता है? You get a very good working hours. So anyone who's looking for a VC job, most VCs have good working hours, unlike startups like us. So I would be home by 7. So it was good working hours in general. But irrespective, because at that time, really, I knew what I wanted to build. 1,000 crore 20% EBITDA, right? But usme kya, how to solve it was still a question. And that's when I started doing all of these things. And I learned, like, to me, I learned, so it's a 40-page deck, like that I summarized my primary research, etc. Wow. But I'll just tell you a couple of things. The number one thing that I took away, that in India, people, when it comes to skincare, they solve for efficacy. So we have preconceived notion of what is there on our skin, and we pick up a product to solve that. And second, I always say it, India is a 2-minute noodle market, so सबको instant efficacy चाहिए. No one wants to wait for 3-4 weeks. So if you're able to look beyond the test,
But
then
you're saying we solve for efficacy in skincare as opposed to what? Whoa, what is the comparable here? That
as opposed to trends. So today, a lot of positioning in India is made in terms, and there's nothing wrong in it, made in terms of ingredients. That I am the one who's cracked niacinamide, let's say, as an ingredient. I'm the one who's cracked coffee as an ingredient. I'm the one who's cracked XYZ. Now, the problem with that ends up happening is this ingredient first approach. It's worked really well. So there's one brand that I respect a lot who's done this ingredient first approach in India and built a good brand there, right? But it restricts.
Which brand is that?
For me, it's minimalist. Like I really respect what they have built, and they've taken the ingredient first. एक तो वो approach लिया हुआ है, but they've done a great job with product. It's not the problem, is not product. But then there is a other side to it, which is like there are brands that you take a more niche view, and then it becomes restricted in terms of time. So you are not able to scale. Second, ingredient first movement, people also compromise on the efficacy of the product. Very few brands say that, okay, ingredient is my marketing strategy, but product to मेरे को अच्छा बनाना ही पड़ेगा. So not a lot of brands have been able to crack that fairly well. So and then there are different. So ingredient, maybe there are national ingredients, there are science-backed ingredients, there's, falana dikka, there's a lot of those things, right? So efficacy as an angle is usually, it's said that all of us take it, but really to be able to own it such the way dermats do, right? Like saying that I will give you X results in Y. आप ये लेके जाओ घर, आपको 10 दिन में आपको आराम मिलेगा type of thing, right? So that's the angle that we
efficacy would mean like anti-wrinkle cream or dark circle cream. So these are products where it is efficacy first.
Yeah. There is a very clear problem statement. So brightening can be a problem statement, and dehydration can be a problem statement. Anti-aging can be a problem statement. Pigmentation is a problem. Acne is a problem statement. So take these problem statements. There are 7 problem statements that we've taken, and we solve for it around it. So all of this, as we solve for. So that was the problem statement. We said that अगर हम ये कर सकते हैं, then what ends up happening? You can create limited SKU. Then you're not reliable. See, today aloe vera can be trending. Next year, a red algae will start trending. The year after that, something else. Because trends are trends. Trends are supposed to come and go, right? But benefits is something that is relevant. 10 years back, also anti-aging was a problem. Today, also anti-aging is a problem. 10 years later, also anti-aging is a problem. So the reality is that we wanted to pick that. So we didn't want to become obsolete. We wanted to create the product.
Okay.
Yeah.
You were talking of consumer insights. The first insight was consumers buy based on efficacy. What were the other insights?
And consumers want efficacy quicker. Consumers can't wait for a very long time. So it has to be very, very quick. So now that was a product related problem. Now I still remember the second number, 52 people all across India. And someone I interviewed, the 49 guy, told me about this guy, Dr. Ramesh Suryanarayanan, who was part of the Fair and Lovely creation to what the third rework of Fair and Lovely that made Fair and Lovely what it is today. And he's called the Fair and Lovely Man in Unilever. And he's part of Himalayas journey from 5 crores a year to whatever Himalaya became. So he was part of the Himalayan Heat Phase first journey and the portfolio there. So to me, he was the guy. He had retired, somehow found him. He was actually, I searched him on LinkedIn. He had 22 connects. I still joke about it with sir. And it looked like, your son or daughter, someone creates it and then you forget about it. And then it really felt like that. I reached out to all 22 people. 3 of them replied. One of them had 2 of his numbers. एक तो लग ही नहीं रहा था, एक लग गया. And sir was just like, I don't know what sir would have thought. And then he said, okay, why don't you come and meet me? And he was based out of Chennai. I met him. Then we had a 5-hour chat. His mother cooked. His mother was actually recovering from cancer surgery, but she's the best cook in the world. She made the best dosas. And I don't like dosas. But that guy really likes the dosas. So we ate dosas and we spoke for 4-5 hours. And sir today tells everyone that I stalked him, which I think I did. I reached out to everyone that possibly could have known him. But yeah, so sir and I spoke that, is this possible, right? And sir said it's absolutely possible. And to create this. And I said, why do other brands not do it? And then he explained it to me, because it is not as simply as ingredient choice. It is about creating a formulation that can penetrate your skin, and you need to understand which ingredient needs to penetrate at what portion of the skin, and how do you prevent it from going into your bloodstream. So it's safety. So you have to amplify efficacy while being safe. And the third part is, of course, testing it. You cannot just launch a product because penetration मतलब क्या होता है? हम सबका स्किन का थिकनेस अलग है, हम सबका स्किन का मॉलिक्यूलर, honestly cellular structures are very different skin to skin. So while basics can be solved for, how do you create a product that can be relevant for most people? Because we were saying we want to create 1,000 crore, so we had to create a product at scale. We can't create a niche product. And so he said these are the three foundational points. And I said, sir, you help me solve the formulation part, I'll help you solve the testing. And with that we shook hands, and we created our first R&D lab in Chennai back in and the day sir said yes, that's the day I put in my papers at A91. I told A91 that this is what I'm doing, and they said no, great. They were very encouraging. And I had to serve a 1 month notice period. So sir came in on December 2020. By that, in between, we got our first R&D lab in Chennai. We got our instruments. But second wave just kicked off. But luckily, before that, what had happened is colleges were closed across India, pharma colleges. So a lot of colleges let us just rent their instruments and all of that stuff. We got that, and we got a team of 3 scientists together. I told sir, itna savings hai mere paas. I can't take money from my parents. They've already spent on my education, but I can't take money from them. I was not married or anything, so I didn't have anyone else, who could run the house. I said, this is the money I have. I'll keep 7-8 lakhs for myself, and the remaining to run my month for, I don't know when I can raise money or not, the next 1.5 year, whatever spends I have to do, and the remaining. And I still remember this. Akshay sir said that you're using your own money, because we had to pay 3 salaries and rental and the instrument and all of that. For testing, this was a different cost. And sir said that you're using your own money. I will not draw salary. You just give me, I said, but ESOP. And I told him, let's become co-founders. He said, my astrologer, I said, if I'm a business partner, the business will not do well. So let's not call it anything other than employer-employee. And really, that's how sir and my relationship started. And Jan 15, 2021 is when we started our lab. I actually remember the day very well. I moved to Chennai. We made the products over a period of 1 year. We made only 4 products in 1 year. We still make, every product takes 12 to 18 months to make, because efficacy is so critical for us. And that's how we launched in 2022, Jan. And yeah, that's our story. Like, that's how an investor turned. So I don't think an investor turned into an entrepreneur. There was a lot more that went into it. It was not simply the knowledge of what I had.
What were the targets initially? Like, what problems did the first few products want to solve? Because you said efficacy first, so you must have identified specific problems that you wanted to solve.
So see, for me, at that time, I didn't know. Well, I had never thought I will raise VC money, not raise, right? And all of those things. I just knew that मेरे पास इतना पैसा है, so I needed to create something that can give me access to a large TAM without constantly going back into product development mode. And we were investing a lot of time into it. At that time, we also didn't know whether it will take 2 years, 3 years to make the product. So I needed to choose big categories. So I had chosen I knew that the products I wanted to make: face wash, moisturizer, 1 sunscreen, 1 serum. These were 4 products I wanted to make, because that's largely, if you break down Indian skincare, those are the 4 formats that do work in India. And I wanted to strongly, but each of them have different, use cases. Like for a serum, I know it's a treatment product, and brightening is the biggest use case in India. So for a serum, I took brightening as the use case, and I can very confidently tell you I have the best brightening serum in the country, and it's one of the most loved brightening serums. For a face wash, while people still expect a glow, it's a very, I knew there's polarization, right? You have a Himalayan neem face wash, which has great, it can clean your skin, versus a Cetaphil, which is very gentle. I wanted to create which is gentle, but also cleans very thoroughly. So we created a cleanser, and then that things you learn as a founder, right? Like, we created it was a great product, but I was like, how do I convince someone that it's a great product? Because still they have tried it. So then we doubled it up as a makeup cleanser. So it actually removes, it's the first cleanser in India that removes makeup. And this, because it removes makeup, you immediately think that, okay, it really works. And once you use it, you know how gentle it is on your skin. So it's not harsh on your skin, but it really works on your skin. For a moisturizer, then again, while glow is a huge case in India, for Indian moisturizer is a lot to do with hydration. But what we wanted to do differently is be able to create a moisture, not an old school moisturizer, a moisturizer that is very light. It can give you the same amount of hydration as very thick moisturizers oil, but you can use any time. So it's very, very light. So oily skin person can also use it. It's one of the most loved moisturizers in India. Again, a ceramide moisturizer. And it keeps your skin hydrated for 72 hours. I didn't want something that, you sometimes put moisturizer on 4 घंटे के बाद dry लगने लगता है. You want to, so we really optimize on hydration as a problem statement there. And for the sunscreen, it was a combination. For me, sunscreen is always problematic because I always feel like you apply it after that. But what is the use, right? Like in India, sun protection is still not a very well-known problem statement. So ek to functionality is like you apply it, but it has wide cast. It's extremely thin. We got rid of all of them while maximizing the SPF. So we are SPF 70. We are not SPF 50. And we are PA4+, which means that we protect from UVA rays, UVB rays, and also any other, toxic rays that happen. And the blue light rays that happen through you on the laptop. So laptop also causes a lot of pigmentation, and the phone rays. So it actually protects you from that. But on top of that, for me, it was like if I'm applying something to my skin, it can't just be as superficial as reflecting things back. It has to work on my skin. So it's something that has niacinamide, and I'm throwing words that I'm sure ingredients that actually for you also it's the first time, but niacinamide, etc. They're great, and like they're great ingredients to give you glow. Of course, there's a certain, but long term, like it really makes your skin glow in the longer term. There's a lot of hydrating agents, but most importantly, it has antioxidants. So, and with the sunscreen for it was something that India is a very like the sunscreen notion is still less, but while you need sun protection, there's also a lot of humidity. So you need something that's light on your face when it comes to sunscreen. So we created something that protects you from, of course, the ultraviolet rays, but also the laptop and phones, right? That the blue rays that come in. But on top of it, it was like, something that is more holistic. Like, अगर कोई बंदा मेरे से एक भी product खरीद रहा है, तो वो 360 degree होना चाहिए. So it has some great ingredients that work together really well. So there's a niacinamide that works on you for the long term for glow on your face and reduction of any dark spots, right? The hydration levels are outstanding, but most importantly, it has antioxidants. So through the whole day, there are oxidants that move in your skin that causes aging in the long term. So it kills all of those oxidants and, reduces the pace of aging for your skin. So those were the first 4 products. Each product was made in a way that, I'm okay with you buying one product from me because your skin is different. Not everything can work on you. And hence that one, and also I'm okay with people and my consumers using only having a 2-step routine or 1-step routine. I can't force India to today suddenly say that, हाँ मतलब हम इतना ही कमाते हैं बट सारा पैसा स्किन केयर में डाल दो, वो तो हम नहीं कर सकते. So you need products that are very holistic. Whatever you want to buy, it has to give you a little of everything and maximize on maybe 1 or 2 factors, like peak on a few factors, but be very holistic for your skin health and skin care. But yeah, that was really the first 4 products.
And how did you decide your branding and all, like Foxtale as a name? Where did that come from?
So I'll make this a little quicker because I can talk about this for a very long time. So, I told you I was interviewing all these women all over, across India, and it's not easy, because when you're standing outside mall as a no one to tell people, please ma'am, baat kar lo, a lot of people are just not ready to answer a lot of times. So
they think you're selling something.
Yeah, they think you're selling something, and they're also busy. They're with their families. They're, some conversations can really be like, "Who are you?" Right? And you can be standing like, and I had to stand for 8-9 hours because I only had Saturday, Sunday, so I had to go at 9-10 in the morning. I would come back at 7-8. Sometimes I would go at peak hours, like like lunch pe gaye, then I took a 1-2 hour break, then I go again in the night. But it was it can be very jarring at times, and I was like, but I needed something, and I had no one else, right? I'm still a single founder, so I need something that gives me a sense of what I'm doing, a constant reminder. But I was thinking of a name, I couldn't think of any name, and when I kept debating, all of that was happening. And that time I went to Chikmagalur. It's a place outside Bangalore. So you have to drive. It's a 5-hour drive from Bangalore to Chikmagalur. And when you go there, like these coconut trees planted all over. It seems like coconut tree, and I thought it's coconut. But once you go there are coffee plantations. So they give you a tour of the coffee plantation. So the guy who was giving us a tour, he nicely says that, before starting the tour, the trees that you see, they are not coconut trees. They are, they are foxtail, Foxtail, and they're the most useless plants ever. And I was like, okay. And somehow it got stuck with me because I was like, it's planted all over. And this guy is starting the tour saying it's the most useless plant ever. Then we had the whole tour. We saw the bamboos and the coffee and this and that. And then when we went back to the room, I started looking it up. Just out of curiosity, and I realized that it is useless from the perspective that you're comparing it to a coconut. You can use the coconut for oil, and so the seeds are inedible for foxtail, etc. But it has one of the strongest roots in the plant kingdom, and it holds the soil together, and it's planted in such high quantities around coffee, because coffee is a great commercial driver and agriculturally for India. So it almost felt like an unsung hero. And to me, immediately reminded me of my mother, because, my father, me, my brother, we've all gone on to do what we have. We've gotten decent, societal accolade for what we've done. And I think it's truer for housewives, where they become the unsung heroes, but they become the food builders for us to thrive and go on to do what we do. So I love the name, right? It somehow connected to me emotionally. But at that time, I knew that Fox is there's a negative connotation to Fox. And I was just starting this skincare brand, and you want to be delicate and you want to be sweet and this, but there's a lot of negative connotation around Fox. And I started reading about Fox. And when I read about Fox, that Fox is a very competitive animal, and it is very sly, but Fox is also the best mother amongst the best mothers in the animal kingdom. So she is very, very nurturing as a mother. And that immediately connected with me, right? To me, it's like women, and especially our generation, we are constantly told we are pretty, then not smart, smart, then not pretty. I had been in male dominated jobs, and I've been asked that, by women also, right? That do you want to have kids? Will you ever get married? So I think women can have less, and really women don't have to be Sati Savitri, not only, Sita and Sati Savitri are the best definitions of women. We women also fight for survival as much as men do. And hence it's okay for us to have less, right? I can be this alpha at work, and I can come home and be a doting mother and a doting wife, right? So I can have both these roles in my life. And so I loved Fox, right? And I still love Fox. I think the layers she has, and of course, now that it's in my company's name, I read a lot about it. She's such an outstanding, animal with so much character and so much, so many layers. It's beautiful. She's a beautiful animal. And TAIL, because at that time I was speaking to so many women, and I remember after speaking to these women, one of the times I met my now husband, then, we were just dating at that time. And I came and I told him, sometimes it's so frustrating to talk to women. I was actually some very frustrated at that time, that day. I was very tired. I was very exhausted. And I was like, you talk to them about these questions, and then the life story is also there, because, women relate skin to everything. They relate skin to, when they got married, when they had kids, how much time they spend in the kitchen, how much time they spend in the sun, hard water, soft water. That we just moved to Mumbai, the water is very hard, Indore with hard, all of those things. And as I was telling, and, honestly, I was genuinely just on a rant cribbing. And I was just like, and then I said, it's like every skin has its own story. And I knew that this is what, like, TAIL has to change to TALE, because that's what made me fall in love with this category in the process that I was trying to build it. That you can't create products if you don't understand the stories. And the products can't be successful if it doesn't fit into someone else's story. So even today, every product, actually, if you look at our products, there's a women's picture on the secondary packaging, and every product is dedicated to one woman whose personality the product relates to. So we all of us, right? And that's how we try to bring out the fox in us. Is every woman has a different personality, and let's own it. And every product has a unique, different personality. They are not an overlap with each other. And you will see the same women, the real woman's illustration on the top, and the right hand side you will see a story. And what about her personality inspired us to do the product, or what about the product's personality, and this personality aligns very well. So that's how the name came about, and I think it just became a reminder. Until today, it's a constant reminder that we want to build a brand that tells stories, and we believe if you own those stories, you can create a brand people love, and you can do right by the users and justice to them.
Uh, what kind of sales had you achieved by the time you raised your first round? You would, I'm assuming you would have gone to raise after you would have done your go to market, and right, like I mean that's what a smart founder would do.
Okay, I don't think I'm the smart one. We actually weren't raising, like 20 year, like I said, 2021, we were in R&D, and I had a few people who started reaching out to me that, we've heard that you are doing something, etc. Because my LinkedIn had just changed to stealth, right? Because I didn't know when we are launching, etc. Nothing was mentioned that I'm doing skincare. And that's how someone, like I said, the network, right? So these people I was talking to, someone connect, and I said, I'm not raising right now, and this is not something. I'm not even build the products. I didn't have products to show. Like I'm like, we are still in R&D. And I got connected to Gaurav from K Capital. And Gaurav and I had a great chat. And then they said, okay, you just come to the IC, nothing big, nothing formal, just come and present. And I went and presented, and that's when I met Sasha. And I met the entire team, and I loved the conversation, and sometimes you need to love conversations to take the bigger step. And they came back with a term sheet. And to me, I felt like, abhi na kabhi to paise chahiye honge. And it was roughly $1 million round. Actually, not even that much. It was lesser than $1 million round. And I was like, this money, but I get good partners. One was that. Second, I do come from that industry. So I think the structure, the processes, the mindset that, a VC can make you institutionalize very quickly versus, build as a bootstrap company, etc. And third, I was a single founder. So having someone else in the cap table with skin in the game, I think that just felt emotionally a better place to be in. And a combination of me, and I loved K, and I still love K. They are my favorite investors in the whole wide world, whether when I was an analyst, whether now that I'm a founder. I don't think, I think there are few people. The one thing I read about them is they are great investors and great human beings. And I think that's very, very difficult. I don't know why it's become a thing that investors don't have to be good human beings. I don't relate to them a lot, but this was a team that, are great investors. They're very disciplined. They're very clear. They're very focused. They're very good at giving feedback. I think I've gotten most feedback from them, but they are very respectful. They're just good human beings. No conversation is like, baggage. You go home knowing that, okay, I've learned this, okay, I've do this differently, and this is something I can do more as a founder. So, and I was right about, I also took a bet then, and I was absolutely right about that bet. And I'm very grateful to God that, it happened when it happened. And that's how my first round happened. So it was pre-product. It was not even pre-revenue. Now, the matrix and K round happened. Yeah.
Why do you think they, most VCs have this very strong conviction that single founder companies are risky. Why do you think they invested in you?
I was recently
it is very
told by
rare for single founder companies to get invested in.
Yeah, I was recently told by someone from my current investors only that it was not only a bet on single founder, it was also a bet on a 26-year-old. And most founders want someone to come from experience. It might not be a founder experience; it can be an operational experience, especially in a cluttered market like this, right? I think you should ask K and Matrix why they took a bet when they did. But I think so, and I 4 years back, Akshay, I was a young girl at 26, right? I had my own set of insecurities about myself also. And one of them was like, I'm a very candid, I'm a very like, I talk and I will talk to you and I will talk with all my heart, right? And it is not something that I draw boundaries on. To me, professionalism is giving respect. To me, and I will talk about my personal life as much because my personal life and professional life are not different. I build it's come together. You can't take and remember you asked me a question that how did investing frame you, and I told you that no, my entire life has in its own way taken me here because I I couldn't have built Foxtale, whatever wins, if I was not from Rathi, because the sense of community is so strong in that place. If I was in the bubble of the VC pay and all of that stuff, I don't think I would ever be able to connect to the user, because I went to a school जहाँ driver के भी बच्चे आते थे, IAS officers के भी बच्चे आते थे, businessman के भी बच्चे आते थे, lawyers के भी बच्चे आते थे. So it was a very different world. It taught you things in a very different way that you don't realize then. So you imbibe all these different cultures and values from both religious, socio-economic, and all of those things, right? But having said that, I am all heart. And at 26, I used to worry a lot. And I used to be like, I am going to go to a counselor and I'm going to figure out a way to be all like, not hard, be very like, play these conversations the right way and all of that stuff. And at 30, I can tell you that that's the reason I think, that's the reason might have things that might not have worked, but that's the reason that a lot more number of things have worked out for me. So I think with Matrix and K, I think I do believe that from the day zero, we had a lot of clarity on what we are building. I think there was never a lack of clarity and there was a lot of consistency, right? The story that I'm telling you today is exactly the story that I have told from my first pitch to today, because for me, pitch nahi tha, ye story tha, this is how I built it. So there's a lot of consistency, there's a lot of clarity, and there's a lot of there's a lot of rigor in what I and my team ends up doing. Of course, at that time I don't rigor to kahan se dikha hoga, but I think clarity dikha tha. I'm sure they wanted to BPC as a sector, like you said, everyone's trying to find
rigor because you interviewed those 1,000 women, right? That is
I think those are things that they would have put together. But I genuinely believe that somewhere there was the trust to it. I think the reason they don't do first-time founders and a very young founder is trust issue hota hai, right? I have not seen any, like what do I fall back on? And I think that's why I said that, that at 26 around insecurity, looking back, I think that truth and honesty has helped me more than not. And it helps me build relationships and at least build trust. And then it's my job to keep living up to that trust. And I do think that given when you're all heart, now आप calculate नहीं कर रहे हो तो आप consistent ही रहोगे, क्योंकि I'm not trying to talk to Akshay separately. I'm not. So I think that truth and honesty is what worked for me. So again, it's a combination of these things. I think clarity in thinking, a very deep understanding of the market that I ended up building at that time, and very clear path. I still remember my first day. I was showing it to one of my employees yesterday. He had written GTM and I exactly did that. Like there was nothing, not a word that has changed from there. I still use slides from my seed series ka page. I copy pasted because nothing's changed. Except the numbers have come, the revenues come, the money's come. But as a business, the core of who we are has not changed. And to your answer on 26-year-old single founder, I think trust is, and Sunita had told me once when I was, Matrix was coming in, and there are a few people who were reaching out to me in January of 2022. We just launched. We were still pre-revenue. And I was like, I told Sunita this. Sunita is from K Capital that, I talk so much and I will tell you exactly what's, I cannot, like, आप मेरे को पूछोगे तो मैं ये नहीं सोच रही मैं 10 वर्ड में आंसर करूँ या I will power play and all of, I can't do that. So do you think like, I need to change myself? I remember this conversation because now I'm talking to all these alphas in the industry and I got lucky with you, but and Sunita told me something that I never forget. She said that, Romita, that's a filter. You should be very happy about it because people who can't appreciate it are people you also can't sustainably have in your life. And people who can appreciate it will be people whom you can sustainably have in your life and enjoy every board meeting, enjoy every board conversation that you had. And I still remember her saying this to me. And I told Sunita this year, after 2.5 years, we were sitting together and introspecting on our 3 years of journey together. And I was like, Sunita, this is one point. There are 2 points with Sunita that has built a lot of who I am in the last 3 4 years. One was this, because I think you were fundamental in me owning who I am. And that was critical for my team, because if I didn't own who I am, my team would not have owned who they are. And we would not be so comfortable in our skin, however we are, whatever we are. And sense of belonging ke baad aap execute kar sakte ho. Mentally, if you don't feel you're there, you will not be able to execute. So I really think I think that's that. But they should answer this question, and you should let me know what they say.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. Okay, so tell me about how you learned to do sales. You told me that you've hit 200 crores. Like last year's turnover was 200 crores.
No. So last year, fiscal year would have been at a gross level for us 150, 160 crore. We are currently run rating at 240 to 50 crores in gross.
Wow. Okay. So tell me that journey, that how did you build up this kind of revenue? What it must have been a path where you would have done maybe one channel first and then opened up channel by channel. Which channel worked for you? What is the split like? Help me understand what's going behind this revenue, the story behind the revenue.
So I think, again, for us, what has worked is consistency in channel. So what we take a lot of time, Akshay, to do is understand the problem statement. I took my time to understand what I wanted to build. So even when I today pick up a channel, it's not something that happens in day zero. I will really focus on why. So when we started, we started with Amazon and website primarily, and Amazon. And what we after that built has been till today. So till today, my 50% revenue comes from website. My 35% revenue comes from marketplaces like Amazon and Nykaa. And I have a very small portion, right? Roughly 10%, which is offline. We've just started it, so we'll see how it takes up, right? So I am not, even with my channel distribution, spray and pray. I like to, and I don't think there's anything wrong with spray and pray. Horizontal expansion is okay for those who work. I think our team's strength is, that horse ka aap nahi hota, like, pick something up and penetrate it deeply. And hence my job as a CEO has always been that we pick the right channel, because that can also mean if you pick the wrong channel, you are like putting all your effort into it and you're risking it, right? Because no channel in the first 3 months will tell you, oh, I'm 100 crores or not. It will take its time. So I think my job as a CEO is increasingly to become channelizing the effort that, like, picking the right problem statements and picking the right channels. And the team job is then to penetrate and execute it fully. So our journey's been from building products for the consumer. It was about selling to the consumers. I genuinely think two things worked. First, principle thinking. We've taken a very, very data first approach. We have our own, like when we were 8 months old until today, people are surprised. We had our own server because मेरे पास इतना data था एकदम website first day, and we did not let that data go. We have macros and Pythons built over it. So the amount of data engineering that we've done, and not in isolation, because we had so much need for data analytics and taking a view on it. I'll give you an example. Like my website conversion is 5 to 6.5%. In India, gold standard is 1.5, 2%, right? Which means if 100 user comes, I convert 6 to 7 users. In India, that's 1 to 2 users, right, on any website. So and even globally, like 6 to 7, when people hear, it's not an easy number. It's not a small number. It's a great conversion rate. And the second fundamental has been consumer understanding and story, which is why because while data analytics will let you optimize user flow, what she sees, how she sees it, what she feels when she touches your product, how do you interact with her, right? All of those are very critical. So I always say this: we are a combination of EQ plus IQ, and that's what's special about the team and the brand. I don't think we expect either of them to exist in isolation, and I don't think in isolation they can work. To build a consumer category might work somewhere else. But we are trying to build something that is representative of the user, that we get users love from. So EQ is critical, but we want to be able to play in a way that we are optimizing our marketing efficiency, we are optimizing every dollar we put in, the user flow, compete with our players. It's a price war that keeps going on. So then that data analytics becomes critical. So it's a combination of the two, and that's really led to the growth that we have seen, Touchwood, and uh,
One
that is,
question here. You know, most brands are like 50% own website situation is there typically when they're sub 100 crore.
yeah,
Post 100
yeah,
crore, typically it becomes like maybe 10-20% from own website at scale.
yeah,
Why did you, and I think the reason for that is that it costs you more to buy that traffic for your own website as opposed to if your Amazon listing is well optimized, it's cheaper to buy
yeah,
buy orders or buy customers on Amazon as opposed to your own
yeah.
website. So why choose to do that? Will you be more profitable if you were to focus more on other channels, or what's the story here?
So uh, our website is profitable, and it's been profitable for the last 7-8 months. I am agree with you that acquiring users on the website typically is a lot more expensive than acquiring users on Amazon or Nykaa. But the reality is that, see, we started with website, so it's not something that and we started with website also primarily because हमारे पास 4 SKU थे. So everyone was like, how do you build a D2C brand with 4 SKU? Every marketplace you talk to, they will say growth of SKUs as a lever. And then they will criticize that as well, right? But they will talk about it as a lever. Amazon, I knew someone who was head of beauty who we pitched, like, we told this is what you're doing, and he really believed in it, and he helped me find the right team, connected me to the right people, and then helped us list with 4 SKUs. But the reality of it is that, that we optimize our website from day zero, and because of which today I'm at a level where I acquire users profitably, and I'm able to make money on the first order itself. Is that. Second, my website revenue ka 50% is repeat users, 40% is organic revenue. So it's not like I'm spending money to get users. So in the last 2 years, so it's not only, like I said, it's not just data analytics. I acquire users at the same cost, if not lower, as I do it on Nykaa. So there's, of course, marketing efficiency. There's the second thing is brand love, that people come back on their own. People are coming, 40% new users come, organically. And so there's brand love. So where the consumer connect has ended up playing for us. Right. So if you are constantly acquiring users, pulling money to put in, if there's no pull, just push, it's very difficult to build a website. But if you are able to create that balance, it's easier to build it, right? So, and that's what has happened for us. And like I said, like, it's not that organic has a marketing efficiency. Nahi hai. I think I operated one of the lowest CACs in the industry. For new user acquisition, and if not the lowest, then one of the lower ones. We make money on the first buy itself, and we continue to scale by retaining them and building each of the cohorts that we end up acquiring. And hence we've been able to, we still grow 20-30% on the website month on month, 20% on BAU months, 30-35% during peak months, and we are profitable at that. So it's a combination of both of these things, and I agree that's the biggest problem statement to solve, because marketing dollars, by God's grace, we've solved it, so we are scaling on it now.
Amazing. What is the secret behind that 6% conversion rate?
Analytics.
Because no, but what did analytics help you change in the website? Like, what was the outcome of using analytics? Analytics is the input, right?
What's the conversion, right? Like user flow optimization. कौन सा यूजर क्या देख रहा है, अगर वो देख रहा है, then where is he ending up landing, what are the reasons he ends up dropping, at what point, what reminder does he need to end up convert, all of those things, right? So it's reminder you can't do because you're on the website, so really you don't have, it's not an app where you can push messages, etc. So in the few minutes, 1.5-2 minutes that she's on the website, how do you keep capturing her attention and keep pushing her to convert is very critical. So it's user flow optimization using data analytics, and the output is conversion. Yeah.
Okay. The user experience is driven by analytics, broadly speaking.
User
Which is
experience,
helping.
user flow. If you're on one
Okay.
page, what are the links available to you to click the next one? Why this page? Why not something else? All of those things.
Okay. So, what do you think is a likely timeline for you to hit that 1,000 crore, 20% EBITDA vision?
3 years, 3 years, and 3 years we'll do it.
Amazing.
We go here.
What is the levers going forward that you need to work on to reach that level? You've currently reached a certain scale where you have some presence in marketplace, some presence in own website. So what else do you need to do to hit 1,000 crore? Do you need to go more channels or deeper in these channels, or like?
So I think channel expansion will not happen. We've touched a little of what we wanted to touch. So website is fully like a mature channel for us. Amazon Nycard fairly mature, but very like, actually I wouldn't say fairly mature, fairly early. So there's a lot to do this year. So by the end of this year, they will mature in terms of things that are working, things that are not working. And offline also we've touched, right? We want to build general trade there, and we've touched it, and we've been able to get PMF there. So product market fit is there, and now we need to scale it up. So today in offline, just secondly, मतलब जो actual sales retailer को होता है वो मेरा 2 crore a month है, which is a very good number for a which is the PMF number that we were seeking, because it's not what you are selling, what is actually being sold in the market. So all of these channels have been touched and at different stages, PMF versus growth versus hyper growth. And when I say growth, economics figure out ho raha hai, levers are being figured out. So to me, to answer your question, the lever is just penetration, taking each of these channels to the scale that we want to, and that's something that we are hyper focused on. And of course, the levers by channel are extremely different, but penetration of each of these channels. As Foxtale will only have 20-25 SKUs in our portfolio in skincare. We've launched some 17 already. We'll be launching 5-7 more, but it's about continuing to get penetration in each of the SKUs. So my first 9 SKUs contribute to 70% of the revenue, right? So it's not that one SKU driven story, which is what we wanted. We wanted to come SKU, but every SKU will be a hero by itself. And continuing to penetrate that and identify the larger TAM. Till today, we've optimized bottom of the funnel, which is conversion across channels. Today, we've taken up top, which is top of the funnel, building brand awareness. So what we are good at is that if you've experienced Foxtale, you will love us. But what do you know us if you are not a skincare, if you are a skincare user but not come across it? Any skincare user in India should at least know that Foxtale exists, that it's a skincare brand. It stands for efficacy. So today, solving that awareness and solving that brand salience, we are very good at, but I think top of distribution of brand awareness, right? That's a critical piece. And very honestly, Akshay, I think execution and conversion growth team, outstanding team. Ops, I have an outstanding team. Like imagine in 2 years, it's easy to say 250 to 6. If the ops can't support the infrastructure, especially with website, my average delivery time is 3 to 4 days, and it's not changed. It's as we've scaled, right? We're one of the lowest RTOs in the country. All of those stuff. So building a PNL is not just like the top line and the marketing dollars. There's COGS, there's logistics. Each PNL item matters, and everything flows into the other. So all of these will continue to execute. So, but I'll tell you one thing that I believe is a journey for me here to 1,000 crore is building an institution internally. It's scale is execution, profitability is optimization, but sustainability is processes, right? How can you create something that can sustainably keep doing optimizations and scalability, right? And for that, my role is critically, like I said, it's identifying the right problem statement and making sure my team is focused on the right thing. But today or tomorrow, I may or may, it's like a company is not driven by 1 or 2 people. It has to outlast. Probably we all don't even know who Unilever's founder was. We don't even know who Coke's founder was, right? But every CEO has come and demonstrated, right? Every brand manager has come and demonstrated. There might have been good and bad days. There might have been good and bad choices. But if you look back at the last 50, 70 years, the average is consistent, right? The performance is consistent. And that's because it's an organization. It's not a startup. So I've been very vehemently, and very loudly saying, I don't want to be called a startup. I want to be called an organization. And I know I have work to do in that direction. And I know I have a lot of hard work to do in that. So it's institutionalizing, it's creating processes across the system without losing agility. See, if I become super process driven, there's no reason I will win over a Unilever. But the biggest reason we, or at least, new age brands win is because we are very agile. We can do things quickly. But I cannot create it sustainably if I don't learn from them, right? So how do I imbibe this new age, young blood energy that creates advantage for us, but with the experience and the groundedness and, the sustainability of old school values, right? And there's a reason these old school values continue to today also create so much value creation in the market. So marrying them is critical for us. So I'm not going to leave us of the channel, but I think these will be 2-3 critical bits for us as we scale to the 1,000 crore.
Does this influence your hiring decision, that the desire to be be a business and not a startup? In terms of, do you look for people who are from slightly more mature businesses when you're hiring because they would already understand processes, or how do you hire, especially your leadership team?
See, I actually hire with a very simple thing. You have to be super hungry, you have to be super hardworking, and you have to be a good human being. And good human being is a subjective matter, right? But your value systems and my value systems need to align, because then compatibility gets aligned. But you are some principally strong people is whom I like, right? People who've not had their principles defined. I don't think there's a bad thing again, but it's just something that I find harder to work around with. So I genuinely don't believe in pedigree. I genuinely don't believe in, I actually think I shouldn't hire most of the time from mature companies now, because see, running a process, someone today who is getting hired at a Unilever worked at Unilever for even 30 years. He inherited a process and he's continued to do it, right? So adopting a process and saying ये step 1 है, ये step 2 है, ये step 3 है, और वो करते रहना. Setting up a process is different. So we need people who respect a Unilever. We need people who are who have a vision to build something like that in the next 3 to 4 years, but at the same time who have the rigor, who have the agility, who have the hunger. कि मेरे को नहीं पता वो कैसे करना है, and I'm going to figure it out one way or the other, right? So see, role by role, the years of experience matter. For growth, I always like getting generalists. I don't like getting subject matter experts there. But things like ops, things like, and it also depends on the level that you are, right? Like my COO is someone who has done it for 15 years, but all his minus ones are generalists, because but ops is also science, right? It's not something that is not happening with science. So it's a combination the way our team is structured. Of course, finance is somewhere you want subject matter expertise. You can't do it if you don't know accounting and if you don't know the basics, right? So, but at the same time, when it comes to HR, I don't want a conventional HR person who's like, this is what HR is. I want someone who thinks of people as strategy, who thinks of people as a growth engine. I genuinely think people are the real growth engine. So how do you orchestrate it? How do you create an entire musical team that can sing the right tunes at the right time, that can play it and amplify it? Because if you ever attend an orchestra, it's so live because it's they're amplifying it in the moment, and each pours into the other pours into the other, and that's really how a business works, and especially a growing business like us. So no, I don't necessarily. I think in fact, I believe I have a bias against pedigree. The moment someone's IITIM, I'm like, no, because there's a certain entitlement that ends up happening. I want hungry people. I want people like me. And like I told you, right, I genuinely think I was an underdog for multiple reasons. I was young. I was a single founder. I'm not from, I'm either from Rachi or from UCLA. So I'm always compartmentalized into 2 buckets. Either she's a rich kid who went to UCLA, or she's a tier 2 town who's really not seen a lot of the world, right? I'm not the Bombay, IIT, McKinsey, VC crowd, right? So I actually keep saying it that I never found the sense of belonging in that world. And what Foxtale give me is a sense of belonging, because of which I thrived here. And even if today anything touch wood by God, it will not go wrong, I will still do it all over again, because to me, Foxtale's given me that sense of comfort and belonging and safe space. So irrespective, I think to me, hungry people who are hardworking and strong principally, whatever be the principle, but really headstrong about their principles, are people I tend to hire more, and are people I do believe have done better, way better at Foxtale. Because of the chemistry. See, everyone's not going to do well here. I don't think I can do right by everyone, but it's to do right, both parties have to. It's like a marriage; both have to work out.
So, earlier in the conversation, you had said that you were fooled into thinking you have found product market fit, and now you realize what is product market fit. Can you talk to me a bit about that?
See, I think when I said fooled into product market fit, I'll tell you it was like, see, when I was a VC analyst, and you have views of the market. Those views are driven by, Nielsen reports, these conversations that you are having, the life that you're leading. Like imagine as a VC analyst, you're not from Bombay, but let's say Bombay, when there's a farmer's cafe, which is like very fancy, healthy place to eat. And there's a Jai Hind lunch home, which is like your normal place. But going to Jai Hind lunch home is an adventure. It's not a daily habit, right? It's an adventure. Now, going to Barbecue Nation is nostalgic. कि college days में जाते थे, करते थे, etc. Right? But to the rest of the India, it's reality, right? Like like my husband, we love Barbecue Nation. So it's one of our, we go every week there. And then one of the reasons we started going, because we only started going there a year back, and I had never gone to Barbecue Nation. Imagine, I had never gone because Ranchi में था नहीं. UCLA आने के बाद India, I used to earn enough to not go to Barbecue Nation and go to the Yavuchas of the world. And you're at that phase of your life where you're also overspending and all of that. So my husband was a year back, like, I used to go to Barbecue Nation, let's go there. And I went there. And one of the reasons we go every week, there's so much simplicity there, right? Like people come to celebrate birthdays. Like we go there thinking it's sasta hai. People come there thinking this is the big spend of the year, right? And why does it work, right? Barbecue Nation is such out there. Customer service, outstandingly well. It doesn't matter you're spending 15, so they will treat you like the king and queen. The quality of the food, you can't compromise quality because of the food. The diversity, the value proposition that Barbecue Nation has given to the users, and that's the reason they created what they have, and no other F&B brand has been able to create what they have, right? So as a VC analyst, PMF का एक thesis होता है. वो thesis मेरे लिए, when I started meeting these users, etc., and when I started executing, I realized it's different. So a PMF is not 1 crore. A PMF is not just a number. I would not say it's not a number. It's not just a number. हम ऐसे मिलते थे ब्रांड से, अच्छा 2 crore हो गया, चलो PMF हो गया. Let's look at it, right? But PMF is really finding brand love. Like if you have been, it's top of the number. Of course, like I said, first principle thinking, sales is critical. Can the founder deliver on growth? Of course, that's critical. But वो 2 crore आया कैसे? Like, because at 2 crore unit economics नहीं होता है. So you are backing a non-unit economics view, right? You're backing a growth. So what is PMF? So if वो 2 crore के users को आप call करके बात करोगे कि, how do they feel about the brand? Are they talking about it? So brand love, right? Like I always say that brand salience is not something that you need to worry about just when you're spending on brand money or when you're doing this huge TV ads. Brand salience, so like, it's like when you talk to me, do you feel good or not? And when you know that, like, Narendra Modi first made sure that he has a huge fan following in Gujarat. And then he made sure that he's done it in India, right? And I'm sure his campaign budgets in Gujarat was way smaller than what his campaign budgets and reach would be in when he was campaigning for Prime Minister in India for the first time. But that's what it is. Brand salience is brand salience. अब एक भी बंदा है वो आपको
What do you mean by brand salience? What does that term mean?
Brand salience is the ability of the brand to connect with you and have a lasting remark on you. It's like it's salient. Like, are you able to create a mark? Are you able to own the user as a brand?
Okay.
And see, initially it's just product. People think brand alag hota hai, product alag hota hai. Brand is everything. Brand is team also. I am also my company's, like, I'm a representative. I'm part of that brand.
Even your delivery speed is your brand, right? Like
my delivery,
that
of
goes
course,
into.
that's the big part of brand. And that's a huge part of retention. But so those are, everything is part of the brand.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Cool. Let me end with this question. What's your advice to women who are aspiring to become founders?
Do it. I think, and I'm sure that, there's a lot of roles that you do in life, right? That naturally comes to us in our life cycle, uh, where our role takes precedence over who we are as an identity. Starting something and building something of your own, you get to build something that can, you are, you're seeding something that is you. So the brand personality is you, or the team that you create is you, the culture that you create is yours. And that requires so much unlearning and learning from all the stereotypes that we've grown up with, right? Owning ourselves is a very hard journey as women. And when you build something, you first own yourself to be able to pass it down, be proud of it, and be able to build something that you believe will scale, right? You have to have convictions. The first thing you need is conviction on yourself. So I genuinely believe that if it's in you to build, build. And I don't, everyone will not see 1,000 crore, 2,000 crore, 5,000 crore. What Mama's seen, people after that with may not see, right? In BPC as a category. Or Zomato and Swiggy might not be the same stories in 10 years, right? Uh, but I think too, or even there are a lot of people who came after Zomato also, जो बहुत, they might not even have scaled to half the level they are. But building is building is a personal journey. And whether I will not say that every founder is great. I will not say, like, if you tell me to put my money on every woman founder, of course I'll not, because I will put money because it's an investment decision, right? It will go into when there's a lot of other things have to work. But whether it works or not, I will always want to bet on every woman starting something if she wants to start something, because it's a personal journey. It's so spiritual in its nature. It helps you build conviction in yourself. It helps you build conviction in what you can be, what you can become, and what you can create. And that is going to last you for the rest of your life. So today, when we talk about women, men equality, and I'm like not going to get into anything that's, because I don't think very radically most of the times in my life. But I think the first thing that we as women, I think really when I talk to women is हम खुद को own ही नहीं कर पा रहे. And खुद को own करना is a very important journey for the women to come. So we have a lot today in the world that is going to work in our favor. So we can stop being cynical the moment we own ourselves. And there are a lot of things that don't. So I'm not taking away the accountability from the rest of the world and from the men. I'm not trying to say that, but I think it's a beautiful journey. Uh, uh, Having conviction in yourself and betting in yourself is a very powerful and empowering thing. And I think all of us women need that sense of empowerment, especially if we are seeking it. So I'll just say do it. And the only other thing I'll add to it, that when you commit to it, see it fully. This journey is not going to fulfill if you're like, हाँ करने के लिए कर रहे, do it and then build your life around it, right? In a reason, it's going to be different. Like I was single, so mera different hai. Someone's married and has kids, unka different hoga. Everyone will have different stories and different paths to doing it. But really commit to it. Like don't do it half-heartedly. Commit to it and put like make sure that you're giving your 100% to get to the vision that you've established for yourself. And then God has this way of figuring it out. Life figures it out. If you give your 100%, life figures it out.